Hi everyone, welcome back to my vlog. I'm Robin, or Hobbit's Reading List. And now that school is over, I really just have no plan. I have no idea what we're focusing on this week. I know I have a very busy Thursday, and I'm recording the podcast on Saturday, but other than that, besides like work, obviously, I don't really have any plans, so hopefully I should get a lot of reading done. Okay, so I should have started this vlog yesterday. It's Wednesday, which is later than I like to start it. I just kept forgetting yesterday, and plus the weather was and is very gloomy, and so I think when I was downstairs, I didn't have the thought of like, oh, that's really good lighting, so I didn't have the thought to film. Anyway, on Monday night, I started listening to The Rules of Royalty because I was cleaning and, it's just a good time to listen to audiobooks. So, The Rules of Royalty is following this guy, Jamie. On his 17th birthday, he is told that he is actually the second son of a king of a European country. I forget what it's called. It's Mina something. I keep wanting to say Minotaur. I don't think that's it. We are also introduced to Eric, who has been born into and raised into the royal family of a different European country, which is more north, and the family that Jamie comes from is more southern. I don't know if that's important. I only listened like 4 or 5 chapters. They haven't met yet, but Jamie has found out that he is the son of the king, and Eric, alternatively, has been asked by Jamie's father to sort of be like the point of contact for Jamie, because Eric is also a second son, and I know that later in the plot, like, Jamie does end up going to this country, Eric does as well, and Eric sort of tutors Jamie in, royal duties and royalty in general and all that sort of stuff. And they end up developing feelings for each other. So, like I said, I only listened to like 5-ish chapters. I will listen to more today, and I assume I will finish it this week. It'd be weird if I didn't. But I thought it was fine. It is a young adult, which, like, I don't mind young adult at all, but inevitably, in my romances, I like there to be a sexual chemistry. And while I'm not saying that doesn't happen in young adult, it's typically missing, which makes sense, which is totally fine. But I usually walk out of young adult books feeling like something was missing, and it's usually more of that chemistry component. So, we'll see. This is described as like, sort of Princess Diaries-esque, which when I was a teenager, I loved Princess Diaries. So, I'm feeling pretty good about it. Other than that, the only other thing that I read is yesterday I read 2 more short stories from Sholom Aleichem. I need to stop picking up short stories. I can't do it. It's just that transition, of going from one story and then to another, like, my little ADHD brain cannot handle that. So it ends up taking me so long to read a book that really shouldn't take me that long. But I read 2 stories yesterday. One of them was about this guy, this drunkard, who got super drunk on Purim and ended up, like, bumping into the, like, town pauper, and they both get covered in mud, and then they make a pun about how they're dead. The first guy is dead drunk, the second guy is dead hungry, and so they refer to them as 2 dead men. I mean, it was kind of amusing. I'm trying to remember what the second story is about. I don't know. There are just some stories that just don't register. There's a short one, too. Maybe that was why. I don't know. I'm not even, like, I don't think I'm even a quarter of the way through. I really need to pick up reading on this book. So, yeah, that's what has been going on. So, I'm gonna go and see if I'm going to read some more today. Hi, everyone. So, I'm, like, running around. I woke up a little late this morning. I have appointments and meetings and stuff today, so I'm just running around, and I figured while I'm out and sort of waiting for my next appointment, because I had personal training at 8:30, which I usually have at 10 on Thursdays, but I have my yearly, like, dermatology appointment at 10 today, so I moved my personal training. So it's now, like, 9:06. I just got out of personal training, and yeah, I'm gonna hold it like this. And yeah, now I have an hour to kill, and I don't really want to go back home because it just doesn't, I don't like doing that if I'm not going to be, like, home for a while. Like, I'm going to be home for less than an hour, and I don't like doing that. So, I thought Barnes & Noble opens at 9, so I'm like, oh, let's go to Barnes & Noble. No, they open at 10. So I'm just sitting in an empty parking lot. But Target is nearby, so I might run to Target. Anyway, well, I wanted to film. I listened to about 15 chapters yesterday of The Rules of Royalty. So Jamie and Eric have now met. Eric, has agreed to stay in Mythenor and, help teach Jamie how to be a prince. I'm a little confused, though, because, so Jamie wasn't told that he was a prince for the first, 17 years of his life because they wanted him to have a normal life. But now, everyone and Jamie, without any conversation, are like, Jamie needs to know how to be a prince. It's like, but why? You wanted him to have a normal life. Did you only want him to have a normal childhood? Because now he's being thrust into this world. It doesn't make a lot of sense of, why is the automatic assumption from everyone, including Jamie, that he needs to learn how to be a prince in order to do, princely duties. It doesn't quite make sense to me. I do enjoy the interactions between Jamie and Eric. My biggest issue, which I never thought I would complain about, and maybe it's just because it's young adult. This is such a weird thing to complain about. My biggest issue is that everyone is totally fine. There is so much acceptance. I feel so weird complaining about this, but it doesn't feel real. There's so much acceptance from everyone, not only about Jamie and Eric being queer, but also about Jamie being a prince. There's no conflict. That's what it is. Maybe it's not that, there's so much acceptance. I love acceptance. I'm super happy that, this book can show that, families can be accepting, society can be accepting. I do enjoy that. But there's no conflict. So, my biggest example is, this is similar to the Princess Diaries, right? Princess Diaries was super problematic. And I'm thinking of particularly the movie, but I keep moving around because my arm gets tired. I'm thinking particularly movie, but also in the book, Mia's best friend Lily, has some jealousy, tries to use Mia's royalty to her advantage, puts Mia down, and so even that is missing. There's no jealousy between any of Jamie's friends, and he has a sizable friend group. And even the moment where I'm like, oh, Jamie didn't tell his best friend something and she seems upset about that, I'm like, okay, fair, understandable, great. Nope. She seemed upset, and then their next interaction, totally fine. I'm like,
it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel realistic. So yeah, I want to rephrase my earlier statement. Love how much acceptance there is, but there's no conflict, and so it doesn't feel like it's grounded in reality. And apparently that is a big thing for me, I'm discovering, because that was also my issue with Wuthering Heights that I discovered. I felt that it wasn't grounded in reality. So yeah, like I do like the relationship between Jamie and Eric. I think it's progressing nicely. Just everything around it, it feels like they live in this fantasy land where no one fights. No one gets annoyed. Like, the only thing is that Jamie was hurt by his adoptive mother for keeping this secret from him, which is totally understandable. But there's still no conflict. He's 17. There's no acting out. There's no talking back. There's just, like, things are fine, but there's, like, a kind of tension. But there's only tension because Jamie says there's tension. You don't feel the tension. That's what it is, I'm being told and not shown. Okay. I figured out my issue with the book. So yeah, it's a little annoying. This probably isn't going to be a book that I keep. Because I like the romance, but all the side interactions are really weighing on me because I just can't help but roll my eyes because it doesn't feel real. So, yeah, there's that. Otherwise, I read, I think a story and a half from Sholom Aleichem. I have decided that today, in between all my running around, which I really should have brought my book. Why didn't I do that? I didn't think I had time. I thought I was going to Barnes & Noble. But with all my running around, I'm going to bring Sholom Aleichem and try to read. So, Siri told me yesterday, when I landed on read, that I had to read 11 stories. I read 1.5. So, I'm going to finish those 11 stories before I move on to anything else. Because I need to make more progress with this book. So, yeah, that's about it. So I guess I'm going to run to Target for 30 minutes. And then go to my dermatology appointment. So, I will check in later. I finished listening to the Rules of Royalty. All my complaints still stand. There's no tension. I was shown and not told, I was told and not shown, which is a bigger issue. And look, I get that it's a young adult. I do. I understand that. And maybe as, someone approaching their mid-30s, maybe I shouldn't read young adult anymore. But it looks cute. But I think that you can write a young adult book that is age appropriate and still be real. Still be somewhat grounded in reality. It was just too easy. And that just, I don't know. I have a big thing about how especially queer literature should be hopeful and joyous and should give hope to the reader. And that's certainly the books that I wish that I had more of when I was growing up as a queer teenager. And maybe if I was a queer teenager, I would love this book. But it just didn't feel
real enough. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. You know, there's this European country that's accepting of queer people. Awesome. Cool. Your parents accept you. Awesome. The guy that you like likes you back. Awesome. But then it's even like, okay, there's like a blip of an argument with a friend and it's resolved like that. It's like, well, that's not real. And I think that's the part that bothers me, is that take out like the main plot, right? Okay, fine. No tension there. That's fine. I like cozy, fluffy books. But even with friends, like there was an argument with the main character's best friend. And like the main argument itself lasted like 3 minutes, and then it wasn't touched on again. And then when Jamie, the main character, needed his best friend, he pretty much just said like, hey, I know we're fighting, but I really need you. And then it was just like done. It was over. And so I think that's part of it, is that Jamie, even though he wasn't meant to, Jamie felt very selfish. But there was no tension resulting from that. So that's why it didn't feel real. So I don't know, it bothered me. It really bothered me. And like, as I'm talking, I'm like, I originally gave it a 3-star, right? Because like, I'm trying to also acknowledge this book was not written for me. However, considering my issue is not necessarily because it's young adult, but because I think the writing wasn't that strong, I am considering dropping the rating down. We'll see. I don't know. I think it was just really frustrating. Like, again, I like cozy books. I love just books that have no tension. Just be vibes. That's fine with me. But it has to feel real. That's the thing. It has to feel real. Like, if we were in this world, that it would happen. And it didn't. And I rolled my eyes so much when I was listening to this book. And that made me feel bad. Because this is a book that I maybe would have liked when I was a teenager. I'm going to leave it at a 3-star. And then I'm just going to forget about it. And that's going to be the solution. So, but that was my last audiobook on my TBR. So what I might do is pull a prompt from my TBR game, because obviously June is approaching. My TBR game is going to be, I'm going to aim for queer and romance. So I might just pull an LGBT prompt and just go from that. Or I might get the follow-up of Heated Rivalry, because it's available on Audible, and just listen to that. I haven't decided yet. But I will start a new audiobook tomorrow. Other than that, yesterday and the day before I have been chipping away at the selected stories of Sholom Aleichem. I think I may have mentioned it, Wednesday, Siri told me to read 11 stories. And I'm like, okay, well, short stories are apparently my kryptonite, so I'm not going to do anything else until I read 11 stories. And I have 2 left. Oh, God. So, I can't tell you what any of the stories are. Not because they're spoilers or anything, I just really can't remember them. It feels like I'm, like, in a haze when I'm reading them. They're good. They are well written. You know, you have to take it with, you have to read really closely to pick up the sarcasm, which is fine, but it does make me very tired. So I think if I read 2 more stories, if I get the 11 done, I'll have like a little over 100 pages left. I'm not going to say I'm going to finish this weekend, because I feel like that's a tall order. I would like to. I would like to finish it this weekend. I will probably finish it sometime next week. I don't know if I'll pick up another book that's on my TBR or just move on to June. We'll see. But yeah, it's kind of just a bummer that it's taking me so long, because I have other things that I want to read. Like, I'm going to Maine in like 3 weeks, and I should really read another Stephen King book. So there's that. But yeah, I am gonna go. I've been talking for a while, and I have to record a podcast with my dad. So I will let you know when I read more of Sholom Aleichem. Good morning. Oh, sorry. Good morning. I did not sleep well. I think it was partially my fault because I had a headache yesterday and I felt like it was a caffeine headache, so I had coffee at like 4 p.m. I think I'm getting to the age where I can't do that because I don't think I fell asleep till like 2:30, maybe 3. I woke up at 7. So that sucks. So that does mean that on my way to work I will be stopping at Starbucks. It's gonna create a vicious cycle. But I did finish reading the selected stories of Sholom Aleichem because fate wanted me to. As I mentioned, I was trying to finish 11 stories from where I had been on Wednesday because Siri told me to. And then once I did that, I used my random spinny wheel to figure out what else from my to-do list I should do. So I did some laundry, I finished editing a video, and then it told me to read again. I'm like, all right. So I asked Siri how many chapters I should read out of 20, and the bitch said 20. So I'm like, cool, that's finishing the book. Great. Because I think I had like 150 pages left. So I finished it. It made me very sleepy. But not sleepy enough to sleep because of the coffee that I had. It was a weird place to be last night. So I read some, and then we went over to our friend's house because it's NBA playoffs, and I don't care about basketball, so I read the entire time. But I finished it. There were a couple more stories with Tevye, from Fiddler on the Roof. And those are good. See, the thing with short stories is they're so short, and my memory my short-term memory is not great. I wouldn't say my long-term memory is good either, but I think it's better. And the short stories just don't have long enough to sink into my brain. So I really wish I could tell you what some of the stories were about. One of them was about this guy, Benjamin. He's a young adult, and he was, studying Torah, and him and some other young men left, went to the city, and Benjamin ended up studying to become a doctor, and presumably he met someone and ended up converting away from Judaism. And when his family found out, they, grieved him and essentially acted like he had passed away. So that was a story. I was like, oof. So there's no theme for the stories, right? They're just considered, I don't even know if I'd say his best, but just there's stories that, the person who created this collection enjoyed, presumably, or felt was important. So I did think they were good. Just short stories are not for me. I picked this up because of, it's Sholom Aleichem, and I feel like it's important to read culturally. And I don't regret it. I gave it 3 stars. I did think it was good. But sure, I don't think I will be picking up short stories in the future just because they don't work for me. Unless I have to, I'm saying this, but I know that I have to read a short story collection next month for PG Woodhouse. But of my own volition, I don't think I'll pick up short story collections in the future just because it doesn't feel fair, because they're just not for me. So yeah, there's that. Like I said, I gave it 3 stars. And I have a whole 6 days left of May, and I haven't filled my TBR yet, which is fine. I'll probably do that, Tuesday or, no, not Tuesday. Monday or Thursday or, something. But I do know the books that I am going to read. So as I mentioned yesterday, I don't have any audiobooks left on my TBR. So I ended up just going through my LGBT books and trying to find one that was available in audio through Libby, because I have 5 Spotify hours left and I have no Audible credits. So I'm like, okay, so Libby it is. Because I don't really want to spend money. But I picked Going Bicoastal by Dahlia Adler, which I'll tell you more about tomorrow after I actually listen to it. But from what I can tell, it's about this girl, and she has a choice for the summer of staying in New York with her dad, who I believe she already lives with, and working up the nerve to talk to the girl she likes, or going to the West Coast to sort of reconnect with her estranged mother, and she ends up meeting a boy. And the reason I say it like that is she doesn't know which one to choose, so both scenarios play out through the novel, which is really interesting premise, and I'm hoping, it sounds like there's more opportunity for some tension, which was missing in my last young adult book. So we will see. I also know that this one is I've seen a lot of people post really positive things about it, recommend it, so I'm feeling a little more hopeful about this. And then the physical book that I'm going to read is LGBTQIA, is it QIA plus? It's some of the letters at least. Sci-fi and Fantasy Role-Playing Club of Cleveland Heights. I think it's a very long title. I think all those words are in it. It's been on my TBR a couple times, and it's about this science fiction and fantasy role-playing club that has to is competing or battling with another club. I'm not sure about the plot, quite honestly, but I will be reading that this week or next week. I don't know if I'll read tonight. So that's the plan. But I'm gonna go to Starbucks, get coffee, wake up, and I will let you know, at the very least, what I think of Going Bicoastal. Okay, so I have started listening to Going Bicoastal, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying it way more than my last young adult book. I believe I already talked about what it is about. So we have been introduced to, the problem of Nat trying to decide, which parent she's going to stay with for the summer, and then the divergence of looking at both options. And so it alternates. Every chapter it goes to either LA or New York. LA, New York, LA, New York. So far, Nat's experience in LA has been interesting. She's already made some friends, which kudos to her. That's way faster than I would have made friends. She really put herself out there, and it's impressive. I would not have done that as a 17-year-old. But her interactions with her mom make me sad. Because, I'm sorry, if you have your kid who is estranged from you coming to stay with you for the summer, maybe you should make an effort to change your routine in order to spend time with said child. Instead of just, picking her up super late at the airport and then, being gone to work the next morning without a note, without a text, without anything. Nat had to text her mom. And so, I was like, oh, that really sucks. So I feel bad for her in that regard. In the other timeline, where she stays in New York, she is doing pretty well. She has met the redhead, who she has a crush on, and has gotten to know her name, and they hung out. So, and it's interesting because the relationship with her mom, she had talked to her mom and said like, oh, I'm not coming. And her mom was like, okay, I understand. I had these ideas of like how we can still connect and maybe talk more. Which, those things which are like a book club, and then a book club, which the book club idea also features in LA, just comes up a little bit later. As well as in the New York timeline, it's the book club and the idea that like every day or every week or something, they will let each other know something that like they did that was new, that was interesting, that was hard, like, so they're sharing those parts of their day. So I'm like, you're getting along better with your mom when you're in New York. That's interesting. So far, I don't know, it's weird because I like Nat in New York because she has more of a support system. She's not as like angry, which I understand the anger at her mom in LA. And she seems to really be like trying to push herself out of her comfort zone. However, I like the love interest in LA more. Because, I don't know, it just, there doesn't seem to be any, so far, there isn't a ton of depth with Ellie, the love interest in New York. But we've talked to her twice, so maybe there will be more. All that to say, I am really enjoying it. I listened to, I think like 32% yesterday, so I should finish it next week easily. But yeah, I was really enjoying it, which is such a relief that like I can still read young adult books, and yes, I may still feel like, you know, some of that like sexual tension is missing, which makes sense, but I can still enjoy it. So that's a relief. So I'm going to end this vlog, start the next one, and yeah, that's about it. And I'm gearing up for June. June's gonna be exciting. It's one of my favorite months because of Pride, but I'm also going to Maine, so I just need the weeks to go by a little bit faster so I can be on vacation already. But anyway, leave me a comment if you have read any of the books that I read this week or are planning on doing so. I'd love to talk with you about them. Like the video, subscribe, click the notification bell, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.